Okay, so I'm in an interesting place. Well, I told you I was just going to go park somewhere for this, right?
Yeah, you're in Vegas, though, right?
The truck is the mobile sound studio. Yeah, I'm in Vegas, and I'm out here hanging out with a friend and filming some stuff. You know the drill and all of that.
Yeah.
But I found this parking lot where I'm down toward Anthem, which is like Henderson. It's on the south side of the city, and I'm high enough up that I can look down on the strip. And the planes...
Are you doing the superhero sulking thing?
No, I'm not brooding.
Brooding,
Do I
that's
sound like
the
I'm
word.
brooding?
Thank you. No,
I'm not like on a building or brooding. I'm not like, no, the phrase, my city, has not escaped my lips
Okay.
at any point here. No, what I'm fascinated by is these planes, and they all come in on the same approach from the east toward the west, and they land at McCarran. I think it's still called McCarran. And you've flown into Vegas before, right?
I have.
All right, so it's right on the strip. It feels like you're flying into the strip like in Con Air. And
Well
watching it from clear up here, thank you. I was hoping you were tracking.
Well done.
Is it an optical illusion, or do planes really go that slow and still not fall straight out of the sky?
Yeah, it happens. Now, the reason it happens, and it looks worse sometimes than others, is because you always line up and land into the wind, so the wind's hitting you in the nose, because they try to reduce ground speed as much as possible on approach, because any crash caused on landing, the slower you go, the less horrible it will be. So that's why. So
that's an unusual hyphenated word.
Yeah,
less horrible.
No, basically it might be a really high wind day there, so they look slower than normal. But yeah, I mean, lift is an amazing thing.
Here comes a Southwest plane,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly,
hold on, let me pull up. Okay, you're in Vegas. Let me pull up FlightAware and see if I can find the flight.
This is fun.
That's a thing. You can do that, right?
No, I did not, but I know now.
Golly, I'm zoomed in. I'm trying to get there. McCarran.
Okay, so this flight, this Southwest flight that is about to touch down, it doesn't even look like it's moving forward. These jets, I understand it's not a magic miracle. I understand there's science to it, but the science is messing with my eyes.
Is one lined up like right now?
I'm telling you, I'm looking at it with my eyeballs.
Is it north or south of the runway?
If it's not lined up, it is east of the runway, coming toward the west.
Coming towards the west. Oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah?
Southwest.
Is it a Southwest one?
1074. Yeah. Okay.
No way!
Yeah, totally. All right. So
gosh, this is really fun. And you know what? There's 2 fighter jets behind it.
No way. They're not squawking.
In the background behind it.
They're not on here.
Is it that the plane has such forward momentum already from its engines that it can slow its speed that much and not just crumple to the... I mean, why doesn't it just fall out of the sky?
Hold on.
Because if you put it up in the sky...
He just ran off the runway according to the map. Is he... did he just go right into the Carroll Shelby Museum? Because
no, he's not in the Carroll Shelby Museum. It looks like he's in the side of the Luxor.
He just joke.
Disappointing.
I'm taking a screen capture. He just hit the sign that said "Welcome to fabulous Las Vegas." Like he just totally ran off the airport. I'm sending this to you.
How can a plane go that slow in the sky and not plummet? Is my question.
You could take an airplane and blow wind over it so fast that the airplane just takes off from zero, like not even moving, right?
Like push start in a stick shift?
Yeah, not unlike that. In fact, that's why you have to tie down your airplanes, because they are designed to be affected by wind.
They want to take off.
They want to take off.
Huh.
Yeah, and so when you park your airplane, you try to generally... You know how in school when they taught you how to parallel park, they said turn the wheel this way and bump the curb so that if you're on a hill, you don't roll down?
Yeah.
It's like that, but you have to do things for the wind. And so when you're taxiing on a runway, you want to put the flight controls in certain directions. So and to be honest with you, that was always the hardest part for me in pilot training, which I haven't finished. I need to finish, by the way. But
that was my next question.
Yeah, I got to finish that. But when you're taxiing on a runway, the plane wants to get air and it wants to go somewhere, right? And so
you can feel that, like in the controls, you can feel it trying.
Oh yeah, you can feel it. Like if you have a really high crosswind, then I forget what it is, down and away or whatever it is. You give it controls so that, for example, let's say wind's blowing across the right side of the aircraft. You don't want to, put your hand up, for example, so that the wind would blow your hand and flip the aircraft over. You would want to put it so that it pushes you harder to the ground, right? And so
I'm tracking.
all that matters. And seriously, that is the hardest thing for me. I'm like, okay, got it. I understand how to do an approach, how to get in the pattern, all that good stuff. But when you're taxiing on the runway, for me, it's really confusing. And, I haven't flown much, but when I do, it's the airport, how to get around the airport and stuff like that. That's pretty intimidating to me because you have to talk and stuff on the radio. It's super intimidating.
Oh, yeah. I know. Talking into microphones stresses you out.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah. You get so weird.
Well, I mean, it's like you're broadcasting to the world. And all these.
Hey, it's me, Destin. I'm on the runway. Welcome back to me flying a plane.
Tell me this. So when you're a professor, because you've given a lot of tests and stuff like that, how did you interact with your students? Like, did you let them use the book and stuff?
What do you mean? Like, what are my ground rules for test taking?
Well, first of all, you gave history tests and geography tests, right?
Well, geography tests in service of studying history, yeah.
I have not taken a history test since...
8th grade?
No, it was 11th grade.
I was close.
Yeah. And so I don't even know what a history test looks like nowadays. Is it multiple choice or is it just free response written answer?
Well, if you're a college prof, you can do whatever you want. So my thing for the tests was the structure for my class was every day you have a quiz. It's a reading quiz. You have to do your reading. There are no makeup quizzes, so you're welcome to miss classes. But the reading quizzes are like half your grade, so you really don't want to make a habit of missing class. And so just read the 8 or 10 pages really well and then pass the test, which will be only on the basic knowledge, or pass the quiz, which will be only on the basic knowledge. But the test, and I only do one a semester, in my survey classes at least I only do one a semester, it was an essay exam every time. And if it was a 100 or 200 level, just getting the basics of the story down kind of test, then, or kind of class, then the test would be just that. Just tell me the story of Western civilization from the Protestant Reformation until now. And so part of the test is you picking what details you want to include and giving your rationale for why those are the things you think are the important part of the story. And I would give that question out day one of the class, so the students had all semester to put little stars in their notes next to things they thought belonged in the big picture story summary that they would write on the last day. And that's all I did.
So, I mean, you gave them the question, and then you're like, just learn the material. That's pretty much how you did it?
Yeah, and even then, you don't even have to learn it all. Just learn the part that makes sense. So especially, again, in a survey course, I would explain it like this.
What does survey mean? When you say survey course, what does that mean?
It means just covering the story. So a U.S. history survey would be like, here is American history from colonialism through the Civil War. It's just the story. Here are the people who were president. Here's the people we fought. Here are the big social movements. And then the second half is usually Reconstruction. So Andrew Johnson on up through whoever's president at any given time. So it's just a story. And so I would explain it as, the same way you get done watching a movie that you liked.
Mm-hmm.
Like say you watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the first time. There's no way you're going to remember all those names, but you're going to remember a few of them, and a few others you're going to be like, the dude who was from the Matrix, he was Megatron's voice, that guy. Megatron elf Matrix guy. That guy was at the thing, there's a fancy town, and then he told the people to go to the place. I would explain it to my students, I want you to get to like movie summary level with this when you're done with the class.
And you would tell them this
every day.
Like at the beginning of the class?
Yeah, exactly this, over whatever movie came out most recently that they would have all seen. And I'd be like, hey, the same way you can track with it and you can follow the flow of a story and get the themes of the story and even see some little nuances in the story, so you can also do that with the story of history. And that's all we're going for here. So take notes and think and read with that in mind. And in fact, to help guide you in that, here's the semester final question to get you thinking in terms of story. And that's how we did it.
So your exam, like the final exam, was one question.
One question, just get out a bunch of sheets of paper and write until they turn off the lights and kick us out.
So how would you grade that? I mean, you would just read it?
I just read every single word, and whether I agreed with their conclusions or not, if they made a good case and demonstrated a competent understanding of the story, then they get a great grade. If they just didn't prepare and they didn't know anything and they didn't make any case and the story was all wrong, like the facts were all wrong and they clearly weren't well prepared, then, well, I'd subjectively grade them down.
So let's be 100% honest here.
Okie dokie.
You
were we not being 100% honest?
Well, I mean, what I'm about to say is going to put you in a weird position. So
good.
You would pass or fail students whether or not you liked them, based on if you liked them or not.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is we should round up all the cats and dogs and murder them.
What?
No, you just did the.
Oh, so what you're saying is
you just did that trick. I'm calling you on it,
What's
pal.
the guy's name? The interviewed guy, Peterson.
The Cathy Newman Jordan Peterson interview.
So what you're saying is
that all women should be men's slaves forever. What? No, Cathy, I'm not saying that at all. That's a terrible interpretation of what I'm saying. No, what I am saying.
We'll talk about that later, but let's get back to
okay, good.
So I can never say what you're saying. Is it? The question is, did you let people pass or fail based on your emotional connection to the student?
There is no way that didn't play some role at some point. But I tried really hard to set up matrices in a detached, unemotional way before I knew the students for each class, so that I would have something tangible to evaluate. So, for example, I had one gal, sweet kid. She's going to be super successful in a not history career, or maybe she'll catch on to the history thing. But she butchered it, man. She had U.S. History 1, and she literally opened her final exam with the phrase, "America started out as a small country in France." What? Oh, no.
What?
Oh, no. So I kind of skipped ahead a page or two. I'm like, is this joking? Oh, no. Oh, then Napoleon sent out Lewis and Clark to explore the West, and they brought prairie dogs back to him in Paris.
Did she really?
Oh, no, they didn't do that. You're mixing like 9 stories, young American. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And so,
please,
like,
just
you
real
could
quick,
give that kid.
I need closure. Are those the exact things she wrote?
Oh, that's tip of the iceberg. I saved that one for a long time. I made copies of it as a mental example of what not to do. But I did not F- her. Like, that was definitely like a D-. But I found a way within the matrix to be like, well, Napoleon was a person, and there was a Lewis and Clark, and prairie dogs are real. So, like I was trying.
Okay, so
she came to all the classes.
Here's the deal. I think my professor had to do that to me the other day because we so the question was about a coordinate transformation. I told you about this earlier at lunch.
Uh-huh.
So he said, we're going to have a quiz on Tuesday. It's only 2 questions, and, that's really all he told us. And I was like, well, what's it on? And he's like, oh, something like this. And he just made something up. And he didn't even really give us a good hint. Long story short, he's like, create a coordinate transformation matrix to do this thing. And I looked at it, and I was like, oh, snap. A coordinate transformation matrix. I know what that is, but I have no idea how it applies to what he's asking us here. Basically, he was asking for a 3D answer, and I gave him a 2D answer. And so I think what he had to do is go back, and he's grading these just pass-fail. So I think he more or less was just taking attendance with a quiz. And if he grades that as hard as my kids' teachers grade their homework, then I probably will get a 60. You know what I mean?
That sounds like a pass to me.
Yeah. But
I'm pretty sure a 59.5 can make you a rocket scientist.
This episode of No Dumb Questions is sponsored by HelloFresh. And Matt, you were telling me before the ad that we were about to do with HelloFresh about how awesome a meal was about HelloFresh. So why don't you just say it? It
was called steak with sass. It's like sirloin steak with sass.
Is it the one with the mashed potatoes?
No, this had a cabbage, like a sweet cabbage kind of stir fry thing that went along with it. But you cook the steaks, And then you make a sauce with the steak juice that's still in the griddle. And I think it had maybe like some cranberry. So my wife makes this, and that might be the best bite of steak I've ever had in my entire life, ever. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Whatever, we're doing an ad, but it doesn't feel like an ad. So the meat is really good, and that's something that has impressed me. Anyway, we should say the things that we're supposed to say.
Get this steak and sass.
There's talking points, right? And so I've got 3 things, and
I have 2.
Okay, so convenience. I love the fact that we don't have to go to the grocery store. I also love the fact that we can pause our meals from being delivered to our house when we're not in town. Okay, your turn.
I like the fact that it fits with the ridiculous way that we exist, and we do live stupid. We're spread out and we're scattered all over the place, and the idea of cooking at home feels overwhelming unless we have a HelloFresh meal sitting in the fridge ready to go, in which case it feels like this is actually easier than going out and getting something or ordering something in. I'd rather just cook this because it's all sitting there. It's built to go, and it's fast, and it's better than anything I'm going to go buy.
People are going to think we're faking this.
No, dude, I am a believer. This has been a really good thing for our family, and I'm craving it. I want that last meal I had again, and I can't wait for it.
Is it up in the rotation?
It's at the top of the rotation now. Like I might
Sweet.
Actually abuse it so much that.
Okay, we need to end this. We need to end this ad because people are probably thinking that we're faking.
Yeah,
this.
and you just said that a second ago, and I said I'm not faking it because it's really legitimately that good. Okay, go ahead, do your thing.
My kids like to help cook, so we're excited about cooking. It's less than $10 a meal. It's great. Okay, so this is what I'm supposed to say. If you want to, let me get it right.
Get it right.
For $30 off your first week of HelloFresh, visit hellofresh.com/NDQ and enter NDQ at checkout. I think that's all we have to say in order for people to get HelloFresh.
That's exactly it. This is a good idea. I super mean it.
Yeah, it is. That's it. Please support No Dumb Questions by getting HelloFresh meals to your house and putting them in your fridge and eating them with your face hole because you will love it. HelloFresh.com/NDQ. Use the promo code NDQ at checkout.
Right in the face hole.
Do you know what's so interesting about that, though?
What's that?
That fear of not being able to do something good enough.
Or even well enough?
Yeah. It's been a while since I've felt that.
Did you get the little heart thing?
I don't know if
like just that little stomach,
the little flutter thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the little flutter thing. I don't even know what you call it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. And I haven't felt that in quite a while, you know? Because, I mean, at your job.
When's the last time you felt it?
It's been, I don't know, dude. It's been, flying makes me feel it. And it's been probably a year and a half since I've flown. Because, you know, there's genuine peril there. If I don't fly this plane right, I'd die, right?
I'm glad you understand the gravity of the thing.
Literally. But with school, if you don't understand the thing well enough, you fail. But at work, you generally still get paid. You know, you can get fired, but it doesn't happen that often, right?
Theoretically. Depends on what you do. Well, and let's be honest, man. The place that you occupy in your social circle is that you are usually teacherton. You're usually the one in the position of knowing.
You are too.
Yeah, yes, I am. Yes, I am. We'll go with we language.
Yeah, thanks.
We're usually the ones who are in a position to think through a complex topic and then try to think through a way to bring other people we care about along on that topic who just haven't had as much time to study that topic yet.
Mm-hmm.
Fair statement?
Fair.
But when I get around people who are way ahead of me in my field, fancy professors and authors and things like that, I feel a little apprehension. I really don't want to say stupid stuff in front of them. And it just kills me for days after if I do. And that would include taking a quiz and doing poorly because it's literally a measurement of what I know or don't know. And now they see through me.
Yeah. I'm not in uncharted waters. I've navigated these before, but it's been a long time since I've been here.
Yeah, but you've never navigated these as you are now. You've navigated these when little was expected of you or when less was expected of you. And now Oh, you're a guy who's supposed to know stuff about this.
So check out this analogy.
Oh, okay.
I feel like a man who navigated the seas with an Antikythera mechanism.
Oh, I like what you're doing here.
And I've walked into the boat and I got on board, and these new students, it's like they handed me a GPS for the first time in something that I've learned about. Have you ever heard of Chegg?
No, I have not.
Chegg, I think. Let me look at my phone. Got to get this right. So I was sitting there trying to figure out a homework problem the other day, and I started Googling like the question. I was like, how do I do a three-dimensional coordinate strain transformation, you know? Yeah,
I was Googling that the other day too.
Chegg. And Chegg came up. It is an online source for every textbook in existence, and people work the problems out together.
Really?
Yeah.
So they crack the code of the textbook. So it's not like cheating. It's not a test answer key.
Well, it's homework. So, I mean, teachers have to know. And so I started asking around, and I was like,
So it is sort of cheating.
well, I don't know. So here's the deal. I said, I got to figure out this problem. You know, in the back of the book, in engineering textbooks, let's say you have the end of chapter 3, you'll have 40 problems, and you work the problem, and then you turn to the back of the book, and there might be 10 answers, and you just hope that the one that the teacher assigned is one of them that has an answer, so you can know if you got it right or wrong.
Yeah. I've had math books like that.
I don't learn if I just work a problem and it's open-ended and I don't know if I did it right. I'm like, well, I tried something. I don't know if it worked or not, because the good thing about math and engineering is, you can have a discrete number that is the answer. Anyway, so I found Chegg, and I texted Trent, right? He's a student as well.
Mm-hmm.
I texted him at like 2 a.m. and I was like, dude, Chegg, what do I need to know? And his one response was glorious. And I said, well, what is this? And it seriously, I felt like a caveman who was trying to navigate with the stars, and somebody gives you, like a Google Maps equipped phone or something. He's like, yeah, I don't know a single student who doesn't use it. I was like, what? What has happened? I've been out of...
Which means that professors are going to start building their courses so that there's no way to improve your grade simply by checking that out. It's always a game like that to try and stay ahead.
Well, so the professor said day one, he's like, yeah, when he hands us the syllabus, he's like, okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to have homework, but it's going to be pass-fail. If you've worked hard enough on the homework to pass, I'm going to let you pass. If you haven't, you fail. That's how homework works. I was like, oh, wow. That's interesting. I've never heard that.
That's how doctor homework is.
What do you mean?
Different. Well, it's doctor homework, man. You got doctor homework. You're going to doctor school this week.
Well, it's
different.
No, it's not different, actually. Like, there's undergrads in the same class I'm in. I mean,
really?
Yeah, it's MAE 474 and 574.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So what is this, a prereq for your...
It's one of the lowest
800 level courses?
It's one of the lowest level course. You have a certain number of 500 level courses you can take in the program, and then everything else has to be above that.
Does it make you feel weird when 18-year-olds who wish they could grow a beard do better on the quiz than you?
Yeah, if I'm honest. It makes me feel weird. There was this guy when I was in school. His name was Marcus, and he was like 45, and I was 20.
Gross.
Shut up. And I was 20. He was what he called a non-traditionally aged student. And I remember sitting there working with him just like a bro. He was working on the problem, and I'm working on the problem, and like there was no difference. It was just our brains working on something. But I remember
other than his back hair.
that he would always comment about being old. Whatever. We're just working on a problem here, dude. I don't get it. I didn't think much about it, but I kind of get it now. I don't know if it's like an inferiority complex or something, because their minds are sharper, or maybe it's the plasticity of the mind. I think that might be it.
Mm-hmm.
No joke. We went over a homework review today, the kid in the front of the class, he called, like, the professor. The professor's writing on the board. Professor's brilliant, by the way. The professor's writing on the board, and he goes, Professor, actually, you've done the equation for engineering strain. We need mathematical strain. And I'm just like, what are you doing, bro? It's just like, what? Back off, man. I mean, like, whatever. It doesn't matter. And then
how did the professor respond?
He's like, oh, no, it's actually this. And he goes, no, it's actually this. And they kind of got into a little argument.
Oh, boy.
And I was like,
oh, I've had those.
I've
had those.
Dude, do you not? You do understand he controls your grade. And this is why I asked the question about you grading history papers, because I've got to believe that when he's grading our exams that we're going to take on Tuesday of next week, he has the pen, right? He has the ability to take off 2 points for missing a sign here, or 10.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Would that be such a jerk move? Like, because part of what is that professor's job to give you data, or is it to teach you to be an engineer?
To teach you to be an engineer.
I agree. So if what you need in order to be a good engineer is a dose of humble pie, maybe he needs to serve that up. Not in the form of an F, but maybe in the form of, I am going to hold your feet to the fire on this, Mr. Know-It-All, because you're a guy who needs to have your feet held to the fire, and maybe somebody else doesn't need that so much. I think it's part of the role. I don't think it's such a bad thing if he were to do that a little bit. Now, to screw up somebody's trajectory, that's a different thing. For me, as a history guy, I put in a ton of work on that in high school. I went to college. I needed to major in something because I was just there to play baseball. I was like, oh, well, history's pretty easy for me. I'll just do that. And they tagged on a couple other things to that major and suggested that I do it too. So I did that as well. And I take my first survey history course, and I got a C+ on my first essay exam. I'd never got a grade like that before. I was shocked and appalled and offended. Frankly, offended. It was my own advisor that gave me this degree. It was ironically on Greek culture and history.
That gave you the grade or the degree?
I'm sorry, the grade. Thank you. And so I went and I scheduled an appointment with the guy, and I brought in my exam, and I was like, what the heck? And
did
you
like, really?
Let's see what you... yeah, I demanded a better grade. I was like, I even studied for this. And he was like, and go ahead and finish your sentence now, son. And so I'm saying I studied. Like, I was prepared. I had an outline. He's like, you had an outline, but it was terrible. Excuse me. And he went on to say, all right, let's look it over. And so he's like, all right, what are the greatest accomplishments of the Greeks? Okay, well, let me see. You listed warfare, naval warfare, and warfare. Like, that's great.
You actually remember.
You forgot.
You're not making this up.
I
remember this
vividly. And he's like, so there's one little detail you left out about the accomplishment of the Greeks. I'm like, what? Yeah, philosophy. So? Like, it talked about how they came up ways to, like, burn people while they're in the water. Like,
Greek fire, am I right?
Yeah, so he's like, yeah, you left out rationalism. I made a matrix. If somebody took this test and they didn't mention Greek rationalism or philosophy in general, the best they could get was a C+. You got a C+.
Whoa.
And I was like, oh. He's like, it's not like you missed one. You missed the most important contribution of the Greeks to all of human history. So you probably earned more like a D. Oh, well, I'll take my leave now. But part of the reason that he held my feet to the fire is because he knew I needed to come down a few pegs.
Really?
He did me a favor. That was the last grade I got like that in college. Not because I'm smart, but because I didn't want the embarrassment again.
What do you mean? Like, how did you prevent that grade in moving forward?
I listened closer instead of tuning out and assuming I already knew everything and that this degree was a formality. My first test of college taught me I don't know anything, and I do need to be here to be a learner, not here to be a show-off and a Mr. Know-It-All and like a bar trivia quiz master. I need to actually understand this stuff. So it was that was a moment that for me was pivotal in moving from high school brain, learn and repeat facts, to college brain, interpret and
You moved to
I don't know,
rhetoric.
synthesize facts. Yeah, hey, there you go. Moved to rhetoric. Yeah, probably should have moved there sooner, but I needed a giant kick in the butt to get there. So thank you, Dr. Steve Fratt, dude who dressed up like Gandalf and a Civil War general and a knight in shining armor while teaching my history classes.
Did he really?
He did.
Tell
He
me.
jousted with me in class.
Okay. What was his name? Dr. Steve.
Dr. Steve Fratt.
Okay, tell me about the time he dressed up. What's up with that?
Well, he was a Civil War reenactor. I think he just retired from Civil War reenactment this year. So he'd dress up like that. But he taught my medieval history course as well. And one day he's like, we're going to explain jousting. So he brought in this like Society of Creative Anachronism armor setup that he had. And he's like, I need a volunteer. I'm like, oh, I want to wear that. I'll do it. So I jumped up, he puts his helmet on me, and he gives me this shield, and he gets this lance out in class. It's like, so here's how jousting works.
I'm going to
I'm like,
slay your classmate in front of you.
Wait a minute, though, about this lance. Like, I didn't see the lance. And so I'm sitting on this stool in the front of the class, and he takes the lance, and he's tapping my shield with it. And the shield is divided into 9 quadrants. You can picture it like a tic-tac-toe grid painted on the shield.
Yeah.
He's like, so these knights, when they're jousting, the strategy was to pick one of the 9 quadrants and try to apply uneven pressure against where the knight was defending, because you can't see how the knight is couching the lance and shield as they ride. It's a cat and mouse game. You're guessing what they're going to do, like paper, rock, scissors, where you get hurt badly or die if you guess wrong. And so he had me do it. He's like, so put some weight here. Pick your spot, okay? And I pick this spot, and I go falling off the stool. And he just kept jabbing me with his lance. I mean, it was fantastic. Another time he took us out and had us emulate a Greek phalanx, like Greek hoplites with spears and round shields.
Okay, wait, I know the word phalanx. That's the really long, like 9-foot pole that...
Well, a phalanx is a formation. It's every now and then...
You're staggered, right? And then you'd have... people, so I'm going to tell you what I think it is and tell me where I'm wrong. So you have a long line of people stacked shoulder to shoulder, and you're holding a long spear forward.
Yes.
And then you have people, another row behind you, and they're holding the back of it.
Depending on the size and length of the spear. So in Scottish verbiage, I guess, you might call this formation a schiltron. And there you would lodge your spear against the base of your foot, and you could hold a long spear. Well, like Braveheart. Remember the scene in Braveheart?
I don't.
Where they got the joke about, like, we need spares as long as a man. He's like, oh, your mother's been telling tales about me. Crotch joke. And then it cut from there to them all surprising the English, and they got these big spears, and they pull them up, and it's like a hedgehog of spears, and then all the English swine smash into the spears and get killed by the Scotsmen. Well, it wasn't really their idea. That's how the Greek hoplites fought. And they had long spears, and that enabled them to play defense when they needed to. And they had shields that could overlap one with the next. And that allowed them to play defense against Persian archers. But they were also very lightly armored, so they could move quickly and get inside archery range. And that's how they ended up beating Persia. So we went out. The point. I'm sorry.
No. I was enthralled in all that. I don't care.
Oh,
about
that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, you're talking about like lining up and poking each other with sticks till you die. I mean, that's
that's
a very different form of warfare than advanced shape charge mechanisms that we use today, right?
And that form of warfare was a necessity is the mother of invention kind of moment, because the Persians never lost. In the 5th century BC, they just won all the time. 6th century, all the time. They beat the Babylonians, and then they started moving west, and a whole bunch of Greece actually belonged to Persia. Well, the Greece that was modern-day Turkey, and you just couldn't beat their archers. They could just black out the sky. Well, did you ever see 300?
Yeah. Then we'll fight in the shade.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. There were a couple of exaggerations, like half
Like
goat,
all
half
of
human
them?
prostitutes and 8-foot-tall Brazilian Xerxes. But like that black out the sky with arrows thing, that was a thing. And so nobody ever even got into hand-to-hand range with the Persians. And so the Greeks built a military unit to beat that.
What?
Yeah, so a Greek hoplite.
The turtle. Okay, first of all, this word you're saying hoplite. I'm Hoplite.
That is correct.
Okay.
So a hoplite is a military unit. It's the main military unit. It's the heavy infantry military unit of the Greek city-states, classical Greeks. And the thinking was, we need to deal with light infantry, so that would be people who shoot things or throw things, in this case, archers. And in order to do that, we've got to be able to withstand barrages of arrows and then close a big distance very quickly, and then quickly form up and withstand another barrage of arrows and then close that distance even further. And so it's a pretty cool thing that they designed really relatively light armor, and then through teamwork and tremendous battlefield discipline, they could just form that, well, what the Latins called the Tortuga formation.
The Tortuga, yeah. It's like a square.
And eat all of those Persian arrows, and then get up and sprint, and while the Persians are knocking their next arrow, they form up again as hoplites, put up the Tortuga, and at that point, maybe 2-3 times you repeat that, and all of a sudden you're inside archery range. Because if you've got 20 guys stacked up with bows and arrows, only the guys in the front 2 rows can fire when you get close enough. And it eliminates the effectiveness of everybody in those columns once you get in too tight, just because of simple, trigonometry.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was brilliant, just absolutely brilliant. And it changed the world, because if they don't come up with that military unit, the Greek hoplite, the Persians come out, they punish the Greeks go away, are fully assimilated into the Persian Empire.
Wait, hold on. Go slower. If they don't come, okay, basically if the Greeks don't figure out how to beat the Persians had never been beat. Persians used this arrow technique, which sounds a lot like what the British did against the French at the Battle of Agincourt, right?
Hey, nice job. 100 Years' Wars reference.
But they used the longbow, right?
They used Welsh longbowmen.
Same thing, though, right? Don't go down that rabbit trail too far. I'm just trying to make sure I understand. I don't. Okay, just forget I asked that question.
We're gonna go same zip code. Yes, what the English needed to overcome with the French was a little bit different, because there the issue was penetrating armor, and to penetrate armor you needed greater range and greater altitude, and so those 6-foot recurve Welsh longbows would
weightier
not
arrows.
only cover the extra distance, but they could fire a heavier projectile that could pierce the French armor.
Okay, get me back to Greek versus Persia.
Okay.
That helped. I understood all that. So apparently there was some battle where the Greeks beat the Persians. Is that correct?
Yeah, there were several. So the most famous battle between the two is, of course, Thermopylae, which is actually a Persian victory, but it's what do they call that? Oh, what's the word? A Pyrrhic victory? When you won, but really you kind of lost in the process of winning. And so in that battle, that's the one that happened at the pass at Thermopylae, where 300 Spartans and some other guys legendarily held down this pinch point and wouldn't allow the Persians to pass through, while the rest of the Greek city-states rallied to be ready to resist Xerxes' invasion. But the Battle of Marathon is the one that most iconically played out, with the Persian light infantry being defeated by the Greek heavy infantry, or the hoplites.
What was why Persia was just trying to take over the world? Xerxes was trying to take over the world?
You know what? The Persians weren't such bad guys. Persia was, in my opinion, the best empire the world had ever seen to that point. They were pretty tolerant, pretty inclusive. They were really nice to the Jews, which is famously documented in the latter half of the Old Testament, or the Jewish scriptures. Esther of the Bible was, according to the Old Testament, is the wife of Xerxes. Xerxes comes off like a little bit of a clown in Esther, but his policies seemed pretty reasonable, pretty inclusive. They were much nicer than their predecessors, the Babylonians.
That's the same Xerxes, isn't it? My brain is...
Some people think so. Some people disagree.
Well,
but
whatever. My brain has never connected the large, grotesque, Hollywooded figure in 300.
Yes, with the half human, half goat prostitutes.
Yeah, to the Book of Esther.
Yeah, so that dude.
So Mordecai would have been the advisor to that guy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And at the very beginning of Esther, the king is licking his wounds after some kind of campaign. And there's good reason to believe that he was putting together the war council at the beginning of Esther was a war council to regroup and go back and attack Athens, Sparta, Thebes, the Greek city-states who'd beaten him. And so he's kind of in this drunken, I just lost this embarrassing battle. I'm supposed to be a living god. I lost to these stupid Democrats. And so I'm just going to bring out my super hot wife and have her like do a little hip dance and stuff. Get out here, lady.
Beauty contest.
And his wife Vashti's like, no, you lost Greeks. You're terrible at war. I'm not doing some sexy dance for you and your drunk friends. And he's like, fine, you're fired as queen. I'll get a different one. And then Esther ends up becoming queen. That is my possible historical interpretation.
You should do a YouTube channel about the Bible and say things just like that.
Dude.
Okay, back up.
Get right on that.
Let's get back to you got the Greek hoplite formation.
Mm-hmm.
They can close the distance with the Persians.
Phalanx formation carried out by hoplites.
Oh, okay. Got it. So the phalanx formation needs the shields in order to absorb the arrows.
Yes. And Leonidas gives an excellent explanation of how that works in 300 when he's telling mutant bulbous head guy why he can't be in the army.
Because he can't hold the shield high enough.
You got to hold the shield high enough. Do it. The guy can't do it. It's like, well, if you can't do it, then you can't position the shields right, and you're compromising the line. And in ancient warfare, if the hoplites came up against another heavy infantry unit, it would mostly just be a shoving match because you're not going to have the room to operate, a spear. You'd come over the top of the shield with your spear, but you're just running into other spears, and you don't have enough back cast to get up momentum to really kill people. So in that initial collision of heavy infantries in classical warfare, not a lot of people died. You just pushed and shoved until one of the two lines broke. And then when the line breaks, well, it's like the soft underbelly is now open. And then you push into that break in the line. And that's when the killing starts. And that's when the psychology kicks in. And the broken side panics because, well, they broke. And they turn around and run. And that's where all the killing happens in ancient warfare. You run down your fleeing enemies and slaughter them, which I'm against.
Like in the, is it the Beastmaster? No, Conan the Barbarian. Conan, what is the best thing in life? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I'm embarrassed that I do, but I do.
Say it.
What? I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it has like...
To see the enemy driven before you and to hear the lamentation of the women.
Yeah, there you go. Apparently you were really equipped for that.
I'm paraphrasing it. I'm sure it's wrong, but I know there's lamentation in there.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women. That is good.
And I really, really like hearing an Austrian barbarian accent mixed with Alabama. Yeah, so anyway, the whole point of all of that is that what seems like just a simple technology move is something that changed the course of history, because one people group that looked set to dominate everything wasn't able to. I don't want to make the Persians look bad. The Persians were not necessarily bent on conquest of the whole world. They had rightful ownership over several Greek city-states in modern-day Turkey, and the Athenians aided those city-states or prompted those city-states to rebel against Xerxes. So Xerxes was going back to get what was his and to eliminate the threat. It was reasonable for him to want to come and fight. But go Greeks.
Go Greeks. So the PhD group met for the first time earlier this week.
Like your advisor group?
Yeah. Let me tell you about my PhD professor. He's awesome. He got his citizenship just a few days before I started. And I'm not saying he's awesome because he in some way will be controlling my grades or whatever. He actually is awesome. So he came over, and I think it was Drexel University. He either went there or was a professor there for a while. And then he hasn't gone home in 9 years because you can't. Because if you don't get your citizenship or whatever, it's something like if you go home, the clock restarts. I don't understand it. But what I do understand is he got a citizenship. And I was like, oh, congratulations. And I high-fived him. And then I didn't see him for a couple of weeks. And then he came back. And this was before I started, going to school with him. He came back and I was like, you were off the grid. You went home to Iran, didn't you? He's like, yeah.
Because he can.
Because he can, dude. Can you imagine not seeing your family for that long?
No.
Golly.
No, it's crippling.
Yeah. And so
I can't imagine.
I was so happy for him. And anyway, that's really cool. So immigrants have a very difficult time. It's a lot more difficult than I thought. My brother-in-law is in Colombia right now, and we're trying to get him back over here. But the visa process is very difficult.
They've been married, 6 months?
Yeah, it's back in the summer.
So there's an avenue for him to get here. It's just you got to do all the, I don't know what the hoops are, but you got to jump through them.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Bet.
But I don't know. It's a strange thing, man. We're a nation of immigrants, and I don't know. My views on immigration have changed the more I've traveled and the more I've interacted with very intelligent people that have come from other places to work and very hardworking people. I am very pro immigration.
Just in general, just anybody who wants to be anywhere, like open borders for all countries?
No. So that's an interesting question. I asked this very accomplished professional man who came over from...
Was it Barack Obama?
No.
Okay, just checking.
From Vietnam. He came over from Vietnam back in the day, and he works on very important stuff. And I asked him, I was like, hey, so what you think about this whole wall thing? The wall down there on the Mexican border. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy's an immigrant, and he's going to think about all his people back home, and he's going to think. And he goes, this is all he said. He goes, do you have doors on your house?
Wow.
I just was not prepared for that. I said, yeah, I do. He goes, okay, cool. Why wouldn't you put a door on your country? I was like,
wow.
Okay. He said, and then he also said, do you have locks on your doors? And I was like, I do. He goes, why? I was like, I don't. I want to keep bad people out. He goes, okay, cool. You've got your answer. I was like, oh, dang. Anyway, I was not prepared for that answer at all. What are your thoughts on that?
It depends on your view of what a country is as to whether that analogy holds. If your view is that a country is a property held in common by the people who live there, then it's not that different than a house. If your view is humans inhabit the earth and are free autonomous beings, and a country is one place where humans pool their resources, it's maybe a little different in terms of analogy. The immigration thing, like I'm not driving at something there. I don't know what to do with it. That is really hard. It is way simplistic what people on the hardcore let everybody immigrate side are arguing. That's not going to work. It's going to create an osmotic pressure relationship where anything going wrong somewhere will create an overexertion of force toward a place where things aren't really going wrong, and then you're just going to move where things are going wrong. At some point, you have to fix the stuff that's going wrong everywhere. Immigration is really just a short-term kind of Band-Aid fix that can't resolve it for everybody. So it's not a panacea. But at the same time, I find it to be a little simplistic when I talk with my America First crowd friends who I think are really good people and get mischaracterized as being racist when what they're trying to say is, hey, what about our culture? I like America. It's pretty cool. And I don't want it to be like other places. I want other places to be like other places. Let me be. I get that as well. But at the same time, that's a pretty short-sighted historical view because we are what we are because a bunch of people came from different places and it all mushed together. So I don't know. I really like being merciful.
Yeah.
But being merciful on my own dime is one thing. Making other people be merciful on my behalf who have different convictions, yeah, I don't know. It's hard.
Think about humanity as a whole, right?
Okay.
The human race. And in our attempts to survive. Man, this book I read, it's called Seven Eves. I've told you about this, right?
Yeah, we've talked about it a couple times.
It's like a stupid long book, but my brain keeps coming back to that book because of the things it made me think about. And so I can't say, hey, go invest 30 hours of your life into reading this book, but then I keep thinking about it. So I'm kind of coming around to saying maybe it's worth listening to. Anyway, long story short, there's this point where they have to figure out how to survive as humans. Like, we humans have to survive. And so a lot of these, there's this pivotal moment in the book where, and I'll just go ahead and tell you this. There's this pivotal moment in the book where this commander of all these people in space said, he picks up a microphone and he says, okay, here's the deal, everybody. Every country, every military, every socioeconomic organization, everything is gone. You're now under the construct that we agreed to X number of years ago when we signed this document. This is now humanity. He basically said that. And I was like, whoa. And so think about that. And then all of a sudden, everything local in that environment mattered. Never mind what, they were at a certain location and nothing else mattered anymore. Whatever's going on with all those people down there, whatever, this is all that matters. And all of your allegiances don't exist anymore.
Did people dissent?
It's a fascinating book. I mean, some people did. Some people kept their old allegiances. I mean, I don't know. There's a few really good twists. I don't know. I'm leaning towards.
Okay, wait a minute. So did people sign up to go and be a part of this whatever space thing?
Yeah,
colony.
Yeah, it's how you got on the rockets to get there.
Okay, so you agreed to get on the ship and make this trip, and then set up this new experimental society.
Yeah.
How quickly did the descent start?
I mean, it happens naturally, right? And I don't want to talk about that book anymore because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. But in general, if you get a group of humans in one location, how long is it before they start fighting? This has nothing to do.
Not fighting, even just disagreeing. Disagreeing isn't necessarily fighting.
Well, it's not just disagreeing, but you pick sides, right?
Yeah, and to some degree, you're always going to... I mean, if a society's big enough, you're going to subdivide into groups so that you can have an identity within that group, because people intrinsically desire to have an identity, and when a group gets too big, you don't have one anymore. So there will always be... I mean, tribalism we think of as being bad, and I suppose it kind of is, but people like tribes, and they're going to do that.
Yeah, it's just in their advantage to do that. Anyway, I found it fascinating. And what that book has done, and I won't tell you more plot, it has made me think about the human race as a larger thing. It's like, imagine having a big like Tupperware or a big bin, like a plastic bin, and you put in dividers. Have you ever had one of those little things that you can organize your nuts and bolts? It's like a little tool. Oh, well, you got a tackle box,
or like
right?
my nail polish.
Yeah, your tackle box.
Tackle box.
Yeah. So imagine opening up your tackle box and you got all these little grids in there, and those grids represent countries. And you pour some blue water over here in this grid, or let's say sand or something like that, and then you pour green over here, and you've got these borders. But over time, it's all going to shake out, right? And, I mean, these borders that we've constructed, do they really matter? I mean, obviously they do, because...
Yes, if you're going to set it up in such a way that the monopoly on force within each one of those sets of boundaries is owned only by the state, and the state uses that monopoly on force to bring about justice, which is good, but also to collect funds from everyone and to use that in ways that they imagine to be just in giving it to other people. To an extent, that works, but where it doesn't work is with immigration. So if everybody's saying, hey, we all kicked in for this thing, we're strapped for cash here as a people, we're trying to meet each other's needs, and, well, what does it take for somebody else to get to come and opt into the system? Like, shouldn't you have to have a little buy-in? I mean, we're kicking in 40% of what we have every year, whether we want to or not, to have the system we've got. Do we really want to tax that with folks who aren't contributing? Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but that is the pushback on immigration that you hear from one side, is that it doesn't work because it's an economic concern and everybody has to be contributing or the system's going to break, and people don't want their system to break. So that's an obstacle to mingling, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's put in engineering terms. You've got a closed loop system, meaning everything's contained within that bubble, and you have an open loop system where, things can come in and out of the border. Well, governments are an attempt to control a closed loop system, and immigration is the one function that exposes that closed system to the outside world. And so pressures and things from outside can start to influence it. And so that's why it's so weird, because it starts to mess with, whatever. We
just said the exact same thing in engineering and nerdy humanities terms.
Yeah, we did. But you made me think about immigration in terms of hydraulics. So anyway, whatever. And I'm not trying to just be the typical engineer on the podcast. You actually made me think that. Okay, I just said a bunch of stuff, and that has nothing to do with what I was wanting to talk about. I want to tell you more about this professor gig because it's important, and I want to get the word out. So here's the deal. There is a National Science Foundation grant.
Okay.
And it's like for millions of dollars. And Dr. Hazeli is like, hey, do you want to come help me run this grant? I'm like, what is it? He's like, yeah, we've got X number of dollars we can do research with, and he's got some really cool research going on. And he said, but there's a stipulation in here that says we can get 15 students a year and pay for their tuition 100%.
Dang.
Dude, that's huge.
That is huge.
And so
someone, I guarantee you that the third chair at our table right now in this conversation includes some kids who either haven't gone to college yet or just starting. From that perspective, it's hard to appreciate how much a free college education means, but not having that stupid student loan payment for your whole life, not having to worry about coming up with a job or extra cash, just learning for those 4 years or whatever it is, it's huge. It's a huge opportunity.
So here's the deal, and thanks for pulling that third chair up. I'm going to push it away from the table again now. So now it's back to me.
So long, suckers.
Later, homies. All right, here's the deal. It comes down to a point where you actually have to select the people, right?
Are you picking?
No, I don't think so. But what I'm going to do is I want people to know about it. And so this is my idea. So I think it would be fun if I made a video on Smarter Every Day and I just say, hey, I'm getting a PhD. Or I'm trying to get a PhD. We talked earlier about peril and tests and stuff. Oh, by the way, there's scholarships available. And so I want people to know about the kind of research that happens in Huntsville, Alabama, right? Because everybody thinks Alabama and they think we're a bunch of inbred hicks. But
they should know better because you make rockets. But yeah, okay.
That's the thing. And so I want to make a video, and I told the university, I was like, can I make a video and then just like put a form up on a website and have people send in a form and try to get this scholarship? But I don't. Basically, I've been given no stipulations on how this has to go down. I have to say certain things like, the money's coming from this location. I want to make it clear that I'm not getting any of the money. I get none of this grant money. I'm having to pay.
That's right, because I asked you. You said you were just paying for your degree.
Yeah, and so what my plan is to use Smarter Every Day Patreon money and advertising money on Smarter Every Day to pay for the degree. That's my straight up goal. But
okay.
But what I want to do is I want to make some kind of video that explains how big of a deal this is and says, oh, by the way, you can put in an application here. And I think it's going to be a lot of applications, obviously. But we want to take those, and they're probably going to let an HR person make a decision or something like that. But I think I might have some kind of control over the form. I'm not sure.
So when are you making the video?
March. I'm going to make it in March next month.
And so this is something that would start in September?
I don't know
August?
I don't know the answer to that. I just know that I get to be the one. I'm basically the way people are going to find out about this. And so what would you do in that video if you were me? Because the word isn't, that's a responsibility I have.
Well,
I've kind of volunteered for the responsibility because I want people to know about it. But what would you do in that video?
two schools of thought. One, make a boring, crappy, perfunctory video that you just get done. You don't charge the patrons. It's just, hey, here's the thing that's going on. It's me sitting at my desk, and then you just self-destruct it in like 3 days. So you could do that. You've done that in the past on your channel. Here's a little memo. I'm just putting this out here. This isn't a permanent video. This isn't a Smarter Everyday episode. Or you could go and find something else that's going on like that, or like 2 or 3 something else's, and just try to take the notion of university level research out of the abstract realm and give a face to it. Like, hey, this is what these people did. It's done, so you can't sign up for their thing. But they got a bunch of kids together who were going to college, and they figured out this. And I'm here at such and such university. I'm talking to so-and-so, and this is how they did it. And these people over here, you can't join their thing. It's already done, too. They had this crazy idea, and they got it done. The average age of the people who did this was 21. And then this one over here, they did this. Well, here's the thing. I have something really cool that I can do over here, and it's the next thing. And if you want to come in and have a chance to be a part of something that could be like that, here's how you do it. But I think for a lot of people, it's hard for them to even envision what goes on in a university research setting. It just sounds like a fancy honor you get, and you study something that's meaningless and that doesn't matter or affect anything. I think you got to show people how it affects things, and then you will attract the right kind of minds. That's my guess.
So I sat in this room with all these people at this first meeting, and there's like 8 people around the table, and I'm looking around, and they are from all different backgrounds, man. I mean, it's so cool being in a room with so many people that are influenced by different things when they were brought up, all this stuff, right? And I was like, man, this is awesome. You know, that guy's from Iran, that person's from wherever, it's just really cool. So the thing is, well, here, I'm just going to tell you what we're doing.
Okay.
So we're taking these 3D printed materials with metal, and we are doing advanced research on the shape. For example, let's say you were to make a sword back in the day. You'd blacksmith shop, beat it with a hammer, and then you'd quench it, and then you'd keep doing that over and over, right?
Sure.
You'd temper the steel. Nobody's doing that with 3D printed materials.
Like nobody's taking the 3D printed material and throwing it in a fire and then beating it with a hammer?
Things like that. Without the hammer part, we don't know. We're at the part of, metallurgy where we're like, okay, we can 3D print metals. But I walked in this room and we had a conversation. I was like, holy cow. If you do this to that 3D printed material, it changes the properties. How? And I was like, man, that's like when they figured out how to quench iron and make, stuff like that. I mean,
so you're trying to figure out with this program how to go from 3D printing being a marginal kind of gimmicky thing that really doesn't have much of a place yet in the industrial process into being something that could build legit lasting stuff on a larger scale.
No, it's more than that, because they're already flying rocket parts.
But you don't mass produce rocket parts. I mean, that's pretty specialized, right?
No, you can. Here's the problem. When you make a rocket part, if it's in the turbo pump, it's spinning super, super fast, right? So if you
turbo.
Exactly, turbo. So if you have a piece of metal that was forged, you kind of understand the material properties. But if you have a laser that's printing a powder bed and basically welding something on top of something you've already welded, then you've got all kinds of issues like porosity and, did the laser melt the metal correctly and all this stuff, right? You have all these unknowns. And so this group that I guess I can technically say I work with now, I went to a machine shop with one guy today.
Well, if you pass that quiz.
Exactly. They're doing things like figuring out, if we blah, 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 suddenly our strength goes up 4 times.
It sounds like what they were trying to figure out, maybe not all the way back in the day with forging a sword and forging metal. It sounds more like figuring out the Bessemer process and steelworks of the 19th century. Like how do you take this to a bigger scale that can be duplicated in a sturdy, reliable way?
Yes, and reliable is the key. So this is what I want to do. I want to take that. I sat and watched a presentation by a master's degree student in the group, and I was like, oh my goodness, he's a master's degree student, and he's learned all that. He just gave a presentation to the group, and I watched it, and I was like, this is like earth-changing stuff. And we're just dudes in a room talking. And I said, are you telling me that you just did that one thing and it changed the strength that much? Are you actually saying that? He's like, yeah, isn't that cool? I was like, dude, that's more than cool. This is like the second industrial revolution cool. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We're one step closer to like Star Trek replicators with metal.
Yes.
And
which
so
is all I want for my food.
And so what I want to do is, he's investigating the material properties and how we can change the material properties after the 3D printing has happened. There's a couple people doing that. There's one guy researching the fundamental materials of some of these metals. And this isn't metallurgical engineering. This is aerospace engineering. So what I want to do is I want to figure out how we can make super lightweight materials that are incredibly strong in certain axes. Because back when I first started as an engineer where I work now, I remember picking up this thing on this guy's desk. It was like foam. You know what styrofoam looks like? It's got all these little balls in it.
Yeah, sure.
It's like that, but metal. And I was like, what is this? He's like,
Did you just ask me if I know what styrofoam is?
I asked you you knew what the balls. Did I ask you what styrofoam was?
No, you asked if I knew what it looked like. I can kind of picture it.
Well, you know the little balls that I'm talking about. You have to look at it at a closer level.
I do.
So
okay, my bad, yes.
It was like that, but metal. And the advantage was that it was super duper lightweight, but it was randomized. So you don't know.
So is there space between the little balls of metal?
Exactly. And so the strength.
And that's why it's light.
Exactly. That's why it's light, but the strength is pretty low because you could get a fracture line and you have stress concentrations. Do you know what a stress concentration is?
No.
Like if you have let's say you had a pencil and you were to try to break it between your hands, it'd be pretty easy to break. But if you cut a little bitty notch in it, like a little bitty round notch, and then try to break it, it would be easier. But if you put a little bitty sharp notch, it would be easier still because of the way the stress is transmitted around that crack. You can visualize.
Yes. Once a tear is ready to go, it's more likely to go.
Exactly. That's
I got
the same.
a wonderful description of the physics on that, actually, here in Henderson, Nevada, from our doctor when Camilla was pregnant for the first time, and she was giving her rationale for why she does episiotomies.
That's a good point.
She got out this sheet of paper. She's like, all right, look here. See how this doesn't, it's like this. And then she put a little cut in and she did it again. She's like, whoa. And so actually that was her rationale for why not episiotomy.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's like, well, of course it's going to tear if you do an episiotomy. It wants to. You've already, what did you call it? Stress?
It's a stress concentration.
You made it stress concentrations. It's going to want to go. Whereas, if you let that tear, if it's going to happen, occur naturally, like it's a bummer, but it's fibrous and it wants to heal up better.
That's interesting.
If somebody doesn't know what an episiotomy is and they're a youngster listening, it's cool that they still don't know.
Don't look it up.
I wouldn't. Definitely wouldn't click on the images link on Google.
I can never unhear that sound. I've heard that sound.
I didn't get a sound.
Anyway, don't worry about it.
I was right there for that, man.
So here's the thing. We want to figure out, he's working on the material properties. I want to work on the geometry. I actually did
the geometry of like the little shapes that make up the lightweight material.
Exactly.
How they connect.
Exactly.
Okay, question, so I can picture this. Is the current way they're doing it randomized, kind of like styrofoam is, where It just feels like for whatever reason, there's a whole bunch of little balls of material and somehow they all stick together. And maybe you've got, say, 20 points of contact on each one of these little balls as they're touching other little balls or pieces. But it doesn't feel like there's any rhyme or reason to it. It feels like it's just a conglomerate or blown together. Is the idea to make it less randomized and therefore stronger, or more randomized and therefore stronger?
It is not randomized, first of all. And the idea is to shape it for the application that you're trying to create. And
so the amount of space, so you work with the amount of space between them to get to the weight that you want?
It's way more complicated than that. It's the space, it's the size of the trusses, it's the shape of the trusses, it's everything.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a long ways from being able to wrap my brain around it, but I can get the picture.
And I want to bring people along with me. And I'm going to make a video about it.
Dang.
And I'm going to say, hey, do you want to come research this with me? And I don't want the video to be like, hey, scholarship opportunity. I want people to feel like, holy moly, what he's talking about is important.
Yeah, the scholarship opportunity just needs to be an afterthought, man.
Yeah.
Like what you just told me, I want to understand it better. I mostly get it. Visuals will help.
Yeah, exactly.
Having an expert who understands it, nothing personal, better than you, give their best run at it, and then having you translate it with your middleman skill set that you've developed so much. Like, I want to see that video.
If you have a bar that's, let's say, aluminum, it has certain material properties. Okay, it's got a certain heat transfer coefficient. It's got, it'll grow or stretch a certain amount when it warms up. It can conduct electricity a certain way. That's aluminum. Okay, and in the other hand, you have a copper bar. It's
Sure.
much more dense. It has very different properties. If I had an application that needed copper backed by aluminum, and I tried to put those two together, it doesn't work very well. Because as you heat it up, aluminum might try to grow more or less than copper. I don't know the thermal expansion coefficient, but one of them grows more than the other, and you create this internal stress. Well, with 3D printing these days, instead of just putting two metals together, you can gradually change from aluminum to copper. So instead of having aluminum, and then you have a terminator, and then you have copper, and you have a hard junction, you can have aluminum, then you can have 99% aluminum and 1% copper. And then
So like a gradient from one to the other.
that's the exact word.
What?
Think about what you can do with that. Think about that. Isn't that cool?
You're saying that in a way where I should automatically be like, whoa,
Oh,
you could...
you don't care. I'm sorry.
I can't think.
I'm sorry.
Like all I can think is like, you could hit somebody with that.
You were hanging in there, dude. I thought I was talking to my engineering buddies for a second there.
No. I'm with you on everything except the application. Like you're making perfect sense. I'm tracking. I'm even getting how weird that is and how different that is from anything I've ever seen. But then you were like, think about all the applications, and I am thinking about them. I'm thinking about them hard, and I got nothing. So I guess I'd like you to tell me what some of those cool applications could be so that I can quit hanging here.
Well done, Whitman. I'm sorry. I was in the zone. Yes. So, for example, a rocket nozzle.
A rocket nozzle! Of course.
I feel like you're making fun of me now.
No, I'm not. But I just like the way rocket nozzle sounds. That will appear later in a joke.
You could print out an entire propellant tank that has an integrated rocket nozzle, and you would have a certain amount of a heat-resistant metal in the rocket nozzle so that it doesn't melt, and then part that's holding the propellant could be a lightweight material so that you don't have all this extra weight you don't need, and you can do that without any stress concentration anywhere along the way. You could create a gear that has an integrated bushing. You could, it would be really hard out on the teeth because that's what you need on teeth for a gear. But towards the middle, if you wanted to just print something with a bushing in it, you could make a soft metal like a bronze or even a bronze with impregnated oil in it. It's an important thing for engineers who design physical things. I remember the first time I started working with 3D printers, and I know this goes back to what we were talking about. It changes the way you think about how you design, but these new techniques make it so that you can do even more sexy designs that we haven't thought about. Anyway, I'm sorry. I hijacked the episode for a while. Long story short, I'm going to make a video.
No, you did not. It's ridiculously interesting. No,
Yeah,
apology rejected. And thank you for explaining it to me in a way that I could get, because I come across headlines about the kind of thing that you're about to work on. And I get that it's important. I'm smart enough to at least get the first couple of paragraphs, but then sometimes it gets into the deep water. And where I struggle is in the question of application. Okay, I get the question. I get how this answers it in a different way. I don't get where that's going to play out in the world as I understand the world. So you didn't hijack it, and thank you for sticking with me on that.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. And
Whoa. What's landing right now? Do you have that app up still? So 2 Las Vegas things that I thought were really interesting. One, I drove down here, super long push all the way through the day on Sunday. I skipped the Super Bowl, listened to it on the radio. I should have watched that Super Bowl. Whatever. So my arm got kind of numb driving down. I was like, oh, I need to find a place where they do massages, but it doesn't get weird.
in Vegas,
And so, yeah, I need a Vegas massage.
and to be clear, where's your wife?
She's in Lander, Wyoming.
This is a bad idea, Matt.
No, it's not a bad idea. We stay in touch. So I found this Siamese Thai massage joint, and I went there with my buddy Shelby.
What are you doing?
And he's like, "Do you want me to come in and supervise so it doesn't get weird?" I'm like, "It's in a strip mall in Henderson, dude. It's next to like an Applebee's. I think this one's gonna be fine."
You can't do that.
Well, yes, you can.
You cannot do that, man. Here's why you can't do that. I know you,
Okay.
and I know nothing. You're not going to do anything weird, but
Well, it got weird.
oh, it did get weird.
Yeah, I'll tell you in a minute.
Oh, finish the story. Go ahead.
No. You tell me why I can't do the things I've already done.
You can't do that because of people that will project onto you. Oh, yeah. Sometimes Whitman, he goes to Vegas and gets massages. I mean, you can't. People can say things that aren't true.
I had supervision.
I know, but people can say things that aren't true. They can assume that your friend is complicit in some naughtiness. You can't do that.
He's a really nice gentleman. He would never be complicit in naughtiness.
My point is,
Okay.
My point is, sometimes perception is worse than reality,
Mm,
and it's very,
My
very
point
hard
is,
to change perception.
this massage was unbelievable, and I think it was worth it. So here's what happened. I go in there, and this
Tell me more, Pastor Whitman.
this little old Thai lady is like, "Okay, here we go." I'm like, all right, great. She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna start. Is it okay if I walk on your back?" And I was like, "Oh man, there's a language barrier. I don't understand what you mean. Walk on my back." She's like, "Here, watch. Put your face down." There are these like acrobat bars above the massage table. This little lady does this like ninja pull-up, and I don't say that because she was Thai, like an Asian. I just mean it was a ninja pull-up, and all of a sudden she's walking up and down my back. And you would think that would be devastating, but she's doing this thing where she curls her foot like into my shoulder blade, and so the blade of her little foot is just wrapped around my shoulder blade, and she's like in there. I mean, I can feel it like all the way into my heart. She's in there so far. Oh, like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
In Vegas.
And she's doing like Cirque du Soleil stuff on these bars, stomping on my back and the back of my head and my legs and stuff. I'm like, keep going. This is phenomenal. And I felt so much better. The nicest little lady ever. And I got to go back to that joint at some point. First thing when you walk in the door, what do you think it was? First thing you notice.
They give you a robe.
Incorrect. Giant sign. No sexual harassment. 5 exclamation points. All capital letters. If you want sexual harassment, you go somewhere else. Like,
That's awesome.
So direct. And then signs again in the room. So I felt pretty good about it. I was like, I think this place is probably reputable. It checks out on Yelp.
But why Vegas, Matt?
Well, because I'm in Vegas and my shoulder hurt.
Is there a massage place in Lander?
Well, yeah, and when I'm there, I go to it. Whoa, there goes a Lamborghini.
Is it
Dang.
I don't see it on the map here. I don't see it.
Oh, geez, whew. It's worth as much as those planes. It's a bright gold Lamborghini.
That's somebody
Good
who
for
bought
you,
Bitcoin
sir.
and sold Bitcoin at the right time.
Yeah.
Just got a
Yeah, how's it
Lambo.
doing for you? You killing it right
Let's
now?
just don't talk about that.
Okay, let's not talk about it. Okay, thing number 2,
Oh, wait.
other than amazing acrobat massage.
Okay, go ahead.
No, no, it's all right. That's all right. What was your question?
We did the couples massage thing one time.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was like,
Wait, does somebody massage both of you, or do you take turns?
It was a masseuse, a male masseuse and a female masseuse, and they came to. It was a anniversary thing. My wife and I went to Chattanooga, and there's a restaurant, an Italian restaurant there called Provino's. She really likes it because you get to eat free on your birthday.
Oh,
Yeah, and they have really good salads. And so we went there, and I got a room at this bed and breakfast. And she was hyper pregnant. I forget how pregnant she was, but she was turbo pregnant. And I said, well, she would like a massage. I mean, she's always asked me to rub her back and stuff. What if I actually had a masseuse come there? Because they had it on the website. They're like, you can pay extra amount of like $100 or something. And a masseuse would come.
wait.
What?
You got a massage in Chattanooga, Tennessee?
Yeah.
Destin, sometimes
With my wife.
perception matters more than reality.
With my wife beside me.
That
my
you
very
guys are
pregnant
into
wife,
that together?
holding her hand.
I don't like the way that comes off. Oh, wow. That just says that you're complicit. I don't know, man. Not in Chattanooga. Like, don't they have masseuses in Huntsville?
Dude, that's not how judging works. I get to judge you. You don't get to judge me.
Continue. Did you get the dude masseuse? Did you get the
of course.
dude?
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve. Yeah, no doubt.
So his name was Steve. Okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and so it was really good, actually. It was really good. And so I had never
Did he
had a
walk on
massage
you?
before. No, he did not.
Lame.
There is a place, when you come here for your sabbatical, when you talk
Mm-hmm.
about that, when you come here for your sabbatical, there's a foot massage place.
Well, okay.
And yeah, exactly. I like my feet are massaged. And I've gone there twice with my wife, and it was amazing. I would like to go back.
Okay, here's the other Las Vegas story.
No, you got to finish the massage first. The little old lady, you said she did 2 things. She massaged you. She walked on your back, and then she did what?
Huh? Now, the walking on the back was the incredible thing. Like, I guess the other thing is just she's tiny and old, and she was devastatingly strong. Like, like summoning the forces that the last airbender calls upon. I had to have her back off. She got into like my back and my shoulders, and she's like, I was trying to keep it together, and I'm all like, and she's like, no, you just make those sounds. You just say how you feel. That way I know. Like, oh, okay. And then,
This is a
we start
bad
talking
idea,
a little
man.
bit. No, it's a great idea. And so I'm like, like just moaning. She's mean. And she's like, it's good for you. That sound means it's good for you. Like, I'm the one making the sounds. I will decide what the sounds I make when it means it's good for me are. And then she just starts lecturing me about everything. You don't stretch enough before you play sports. Okay? This is done. Like, decision has been made. I need to stretch more.
Declarative statements.
You've not hydrated properly.
Like the guys
it's
that
just that simple,
know it's
man.
the
So it was really
contrail.
great. She injured me. Well, she didn't, but like she used incredible force. She did acrobatics, and she lectured me repeatedly about my health decisions. So that's the massage story.
I have a question about similar
Okay.
to the massage thing. So chiropractors.
Yeah.
Okay, have you seen these videos on the internet of people having their neck corrected?
Tell me, no. What do you mean?
Steven Seagal movies when he would like sneak up from behind somebody and he would grab their neck and he would like, and he would just crack their neck and kill them?
Yes, and do you know how they make that sound effect?
No.
It's celery.
Is it really?
Yeah, you take like 6 sticks of celery and you break it at a different pace, and that's the neck snap sound from movies.
I like
now
it.
you know.
No. Gordon would like that. No, so these guys on YouTube, if you can just Google chiropractor neck correction,
Okay.
then you will see these guys. They're clearly doing it for the video. Like they've set up a camera in their office
Okay.
and they're doing I'm doing air quotes, doing these corrections.
Okay.
And they're basically grabbing these people's heads and almost twisting it off their bodies.
Okay.
Have you seen these?
I have gone to chiropractors before.
Have you had this done?
Very particular about who I'll work with. There's a school of chiropractic called the Gonstead method. And I know one of the dudes who's like the main trainer, and the guy's a wizard. He fixed stuff that should not be fixable. When I injured a kid jumped on my back walking up a ramp onto an aircraft carrier. Sounds ridiculous, but it happened. And it jacked up my back. And I was like 25. Like, I'm in great shape. I'm into sports. I need to do things. And so, like, I don't know, the first thought is like, I go to a doctor, I get a surgery or something. And this dude who is part of our church heard about it. He's like, well, just come talk to me. So I go and talk to this guy. He's like, look, I hear your hesitations about chiropractic. I do it different. This is what our school of thought is. This is how it's different. I won't get into it here. And he said, let me do a couple adjustments on you, like over the period of the next, few weeks or whatever. If you don't run faster and jump higher than you did before the injury after this small handful of adjustments, then, that's that. We never need to talk about it again. But you're going to run faster and jump higher when you're done. And I don't know what kind of wizard magic he performed on my back, but it was incredible. Like peak performance as a result.
It smells like snake oil to me.
Yeah, he would say the same thing.
What do you mean?
I mean, he would say the same thing. And when he describes the difference between his version of chiropractic, which he described, it was invented by a mechanical engineer. And
that doesn't help. I know you tried to sell it. No, doesn't work. Go ahead. Keep
but that's the deal. That's how he did it. And he was saying, like, the problem with chiropractic is we're moving things that don't need to be moved and hoping that somewhere in that big move we're going to fix the thing that's wrong, as opposed to targeting one tiny little thing and figuring out what's wrong there. And so, yeah, I mean, my buddy who does this brand of chiropractic would say the same thing, that it does feel snake oily at times. What don't you like about it?
I don't like that they're grabbing your neck and they're doing a Steven Seagal.
That's what you were gonna say.
Like, if you watch these things, dude, I tried to watch one time and I was like, what? Because Tara's like, I should go to a chiropractor, and I was like, okay. And so I Googled it and I was like, no, this is dumb. Like, why?
They death strike you.
You've not seen these videos, Whitman?
I've had it done to me, man.
Okay, so here's the deal. A buddy of mine, this is not a joke, not an exaggeration. He did this. I just found out about this. He's a dad that goes, a dad from the kids' school. And I've worked with him on stuff. He had it done. He was having an adjustment, air quotes. Golly, I get a little pious when I say that. I'm going to be honest.
I could hear it. You didn't need to tell me there were air quotes. I could hear the mockery.
I know, yeah.
In your tone because of friendship.
Maybe I need to
Go
back
ahead.
down a little bit. Maybe I'm being a little too aggressive.
No. Push the gas pedal.
He Steven Seagal neck cracked my buddy.
Okay.
Dude stroked out on the table. His carotid artery in his neck ruptured. And he started like...
Well, you don't want that to happen.
He started all wiggling and junk. And they like...
Well, what did the chiropractor do?
My buddy said, look, I was aware enough to hear everything that was going on in the room, but I couldn't do anything. He said, the guy said, shut the door, tell the rest of the patients to go home. And they sat there and they waited on him to like stop. He left the place in an ambulance. When he got to the hospital, he was blind.
What?
Yeah, because part of his brain quit getting blood or something. I don't know, man. The story's crazy.
Did he leave a negative review?
He got like he
because I would have been like 2 stars. Some changes would need to be made before I would go
2
back.
2 stars. Part of my brain died. We can laugh.
On the plus side, office was clean. Office staff was friendly. Negative side, induced stroke, went blind.
Yeah. So we can laugh about it because he's okay, which
Sorry.
You didn't know that until I just told you.
Dang it. Your tone. No, your tone. The same tone that allowed me to know that you were mocking the word adjustment caused me to know that he was healthy.
Oh, okay. Great. Long story short, there was a large lawsuit that they won. But I mean,
of course.
Is there actually a winner in a lawsuit like that? Because
the person who gets the money.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't fix that you're dealing with a thing. Long story short, I don't trust them. I'm not cool with people grabbing my neck. If you want to like stand on my back or something, yeah, we can talk about that. But,
Perception, Destin. Perception.
What do you mean?
Like you being maybe okay with a massage? Gross, dude. That's inappropriate.
I don't get it. Oh, you're trying. You're trying to. I understand.
Yeah. Okay, goose and gander. Okay, pot and kettle.
Whatever.
Continue.
Anyway,
No, go ahead.
The chiropractor thing freaks me out. I don't think it's that you got a massage. It's that you got in a car and drove to Vegas and then got the massage. That's what I have a problem with.
It was supervised. They had a sign that said no sex.
I'm just not,
like they have a no sex sign on the thing, man.
I just don't think it's okay. They
had a sign.
Who? And somehow that makes it okay. What? This is what you've become.
I've always been this.
Now,
you're
you're sitting alone in a car watching airplanes land and making.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? It is kind of a weird life. Now that you mention it, maybe there is something wrong with me.
Okay, last thing I have. While you're in Vegas, you have to go to the Atomic Testing Museum.
Where is it?
Promise me you'll do that. It's just off the Strip.
I'm not promising until you tell me more about it.
It's just off the Strip. It is a museum that talks about the history of
atomic testing.
Yeah, nuclear weapons and stuff like that. And I don't want to go into it now until after you visit.
Okay. Yeah, I can make time for that.
It's worth your time.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's better than my other Vegas experience, which was taking my friend and his 2 high school daughters fly fishing for the first time on the Colorado River.
Yeah.
The Colorado River used to be this amazing, thriving trout environment. And obviously they dammed the Colorado outside of Las Vegas to form Lake Mead, Hoover Dam, big dam, super famous. Well, the water that comes out underneath is nice and cold. It's what you want for a trout environment. And so we took the fly rods out, and I showed the kids how to cast. And
this is under
fun.
that
They
big
did a
bridge?
good job. They learned a little downstream from under the big bridge, but yeah.
Okay.
And we were fishing just maybe 100 or 200 yards downstream from a trout hatchery. So I'm like, oh, best possible spot. Nothing, man. Beautiful water, completely dead. And this fish and wildlife guy walks up, and I'm like, hey, can I ask you a couple questions? How come there aren't any trout in here? And I expect him to be like, because you're a terrible fisherman. Ha ha ha. And I'd be like, you got me. But he's like, no, there just aren't. For some reason, striped bass got introduced, and they ate all the trout.
Really?
Like, what? Yeah, so we have this fish hatchery here to put trout back in, and then we open it up on Fridays, and then all the trout fishermen crowd in next to it the second we let the fish out, and they throw their power bait out there, and they catch them, and then they leave with them.
Are you serious?
And then there aren't trout anymore. So I'm like, wait, so every Friday, like this whole gigantic area fills up, and people stand shoulder to shoulder like they used to do at Fishing Bridge in Yellowstone, and they just completely obliterate the next release of trout and then wait until next Friday to come back and do it again. Oh, that's so lame. And the guy just nodded, kind of face palmed. He's like, yeah, it's not very sporting. It's not really in the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish, but
they've weaponized fishing.
It is what it
like,
is.
What is it? Just because that's the only body of water around there?
Yeah, if you want to trout fish, it's pretty slim pickings around here.
That's not
But
cool.
he said these guys aren't even fly fishing. So that's what's going on here. It's not even like, he said if you wanted to fly fish, like it's really crowded, you wouldn't even have room for your back cast. Because, when you fly fish, you got to throw the line behind you first to generate the energy transfer to send the line forward. And so he seemed pretty disappointed in how it's worked out, but not as disappointed as me. This is like one of the most beautiful river systems on the continent. And it's just dammed all the way down to Southern California. And then you got non-native fish in there that wrecked the trout population. Now there's just nothing. It's a bummer. It's gross.
So what you think needs to happen is the government needs to come in and regulate that more.
I'm not appalled by that idea. Like, natural conservation is the one place where I think there are free market solutions. And I also think government solutions are an option. Unpopular opinion with some libertarians, but until there is a mechanism for free market conservation, I think that's a role that government can play. I mean, like, so we have grizzly bears where I live. Whose grizzly bear is that?
In the UK, it's the Queen's.
Okay, that's fair. If it pleases the crown, may I please hunt your deer in the king's forest? But I mean, in Wyoming, is it Is it 1/500,000th my grizzly bear? Is it America's grizzly bear? Is it the Bureau of Land Management's grizzly bear? Is it the grizzly bear's grizzly bear? Is it God's grizzly bear? See what I mean? Like, and that grizzly bear, it's, I don't know what you call pelagic on land. It has to roam around all over the place and kill stuff and eat it in order for it to
that's
exist.
a $5 word right there.
Is it?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Like, you can't just put it in a pen and be like, well, that's your square, so you need some agency or great amount of voluntarism to make it so the bear can go where the bear needs to go and be a bear. So that's me being a bad libertarian, I guess. What do you think we should do about my fishing conundrum?
So what you're saying is...
Oh, don't you do it, don't you do it. What you're saying is all the orphans should have to run on treadmills to provide electricity to your house.
Sabbatical. Are you going to New Zealand?
I'm still in the same place I was last time we talked. Yeah, I am. It looks incredible. And if we can do it, you know what? I'll say this. If we can do it, it's going to be because of the patrons who support our show. It's going to be because we have a little extra coming in that way. And it puts me in a spot where if we save that properly, it would take a big chunk out of our flights and we'd be able to do it. So if I go in advance, thank you to everybody who supports us on this program.
You read all those emails, right? People sent offers about sabbatical stuff.
I have read every single email, and people have blown up our inbox.
People are awesome.
This has been one of the most fun things that's happened in the whole history of the podcast, is just a ton of personal notes from people telling me what they love about where they live, secret stuff about where they live, and a bunch of them even being like, we got an extra room for a barn or bed of the truck. You can come crash with us. It's been cool. It's been generous and fun and informative.
How many did you get from New Zealand? This is important to me. I really want you to go.
I think 5, maybe as of yesterday, 6 lodging opportunities, either for a short term or even a little bit longer term.
6?
Amazing.
6 in New Zealand?
Just in New Zealand.
How can you not do that?
Well, because you can't drive there.
Seriously, dude, if it's close.
Don't know. 50-50 right now. We're going to do something awesome.
Speaking of 50-50.
Okay, go.
Did you get the 50-50-50?
Yes, I did. Oh, you got yours. I've been waiting for you to bring it up because I got mine weeks ago.
We were mailed a 50-50-50, which was...
I really like the way that sounds.
Yeah, it's pretty smart. Somebody took a $50 bill and they cut it in half. So it's a 50.
Did you notice how they cut it?
Yes, at an angle. Mm-hmm. And they cut it so that I had 2 halves. But not 2 halves that you could reassemble. Yes.
They're cut at opposite angles.
Yes.
So you can't cheat and get $50 for nothing.
So I'm pretty sure they broke a federal law, so I'm not going to say their name.
Whatever.
So they in a note that said we have to meet together in order to reassemble our Wonder Twin Power 50-50s. And so it's a 50-50.
That's exactly the joke I was going for. That's amazing.
So
it's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah. So we do this 50-50 joke for the patrons, and a supporter, a Patreon supporter, decided to mail us a 50-50-50. And the rule is Matt and I have to physically meet in the same location in order to reassemble the 50s.
Which means that he just bought essentially a live in-person recording, which is 12 to 14% less awful than the over-the-phone recording.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their women. That is good. That is good.